Hi everybody, I am Cookie Dough and welcome back to one more episode of our Victoria 3 Let's Play as Italy. This episode is more of just a overview of what we have accomplished so far in this Let's Play. I have gotten a request to go through this in the comments of my videos, so I was figured, yeah, let's do a quick short video here and just kind of go over some numbers and see what our statistics are, I guess, throughout our empire. So let me just go and unpause for this 1 week to finish here. There we go. So I'll just pause here. So now let's start here just at the top. With the GDP, of course, we are number one in overall GDP and number one GDP per capita. Uh, so if this would please show me, would be nice. Okay. I think this might be a better way to go through here. So via GDP, I am by far, or we are by far, the number one. We have more than the next three combined here, even the next four combined, including France, Qing, Austria, and Great Britain. Our prestige is, of course, also by far the highest. I don't think anybody would be able to catch up with, like, France is at almost 7,000. We are at 17,000. So I don't think they would be catching up to us anytime soon. Our standard of living is basically one of the highest. It is the third highest in the world, um, with only a couple of small states having a little higher standard of living than us. Which is not a huge deal, but by far the best standard of living for any of the bigger main powers. Austria is actually a quite high standard of living. Our population, which I'm actually a little surprised, we are third overall. So after Qing and East India Company, we have the third largest population at 85 million, which 74 of those is in incorporated states. 11.3 is in unincorporated states, 26.4 have gainfully employed, 2.26 million are peasants, 5.3 million unemployed, which is a little bit of a high number, but we do have quite a lot of specialized jobs that might not have been filled, or that people have the specializations, but we just don't have the buildings for them to fill them. And we have 51.6 million dependents, which nothing we can do about it except just going and letting them grow up, getting into employable population. So continuing over here, we do have only 1.7 million radicals, which is quite great. I do like that. And 27.8 million loyalists, which is fantastic. I love this, which shouldn't cause any sort of loyalty issues or any sort of radicalization issues in Italy proper, at least I am hoping. The one state that does have some turmoil is here, Corsica, but they're at 42.6, which I am thinking of hopefully incorporating them, or would incorporate them as well, but just our bureaucracy is a bit on the lower side. We do have about 10.4% tax waste, and again, main number of that is first being the incorporated states. It's of about 2,400, and the education is at 3,700. So that's the only thing really that's kind of on the low end. The income here, the balance, we are losing some money at the moment, but I believe that would just fix itself, especially because so it ended up dropping here, and I'm pretty sure this drastic drop in income was when we did declare the war against France, and it has been on a steady rise since. As well as the gold reserves, of course, we were capped for quite a bit here, and they're falling kind of slowly. The thing is, with the gold reserves, we do have a huge reserve limit of 229 million. So we're losing 136 K per week, but we do still have 214 million in the investment pool, which is a huge amount. So I'm not worried about this number being red at the moment. So the budget here, if you go to overview, the national revenue is 5.17 million. And our national expenses are 5.31 million. Mainly, again, our taxation is at the lowest limit possible. We do not have any consumption taxes whatsoever. Also, our government wages, I did not want them to be on the very highest. It doesn't really matter much. It would just lose us more money. The military wages are on the highest because I did want to have a strong military, which we did accomplish. And also our construction sectors are at the highest possible production method, which is arc welded buildings. So other expenses. So basically, the main expenses are the construction, the government wages are the two highest contributors to our expenses, followed by welfare payments. We do pay quite a lot of welfare payments, and of course, goods for military buildings and goods for government buildings. Obviously, that's as well. And other than that, subsidies, not that much. We're only subsidizing some buildings, some railways, some arms industries, wheat farms. I just ended up subsidizing a bunch of buildings just because we were making quite a lot of money. So, of course, our income, on the other hand, taxation is definitely the highest, followed closely by minting, then by tariffs, because we do produce a lot of goods, and we do have a lot of people buying goods from us. That's why we always have shortages with goods. Investment pool transfers, which I'm not 100% sure. When money from the treasury is used in the construction of building that may be funded. Oh, okay, so this is just transferring the funds from this investment pool into buildings. Okay, so now I get what that is. So yeah, that's our overview of our budget. Again, this overall number I'm not worried about, because I'm pretty sure in a couple of years this would fix itself into a green number, especially once we build a lot more of these of these specialty buildings to house these unemployed populations. And stats here, let's say here, wages. So the highest wages are in South Island, actually. That's quite surprising. They also have the most expenses, but they don't pay the most in taxes. So the highest expense is Piedmont. Makes sense, as it is our largest state, and of course they also pay the highest in taxes. So these numbers here is just kind of comparing the states, how much the expenses are, how much the taxes they do pay, and between the wages. And then of course you can this is the average number, of course, states average annual, which there is arts academies do pay the most. Obviously, subsistence farms pay the least because they don't do anything, and urban centers actually pay not quite that much. But again, it's kind of a breakdown. I could probably sit here for an hour just explaining all these numbers. So I just want to give a quick overview here. And while we're talking about states, let's go to our main state, which is Piedmont. Which contributes 27% of our GDP at 425 million. It has a population of 14.5 million, which is actually quite insane. I didn't think it would be, but there is, because it is a very prosperous state, a lot of people have been moving into here. So if we go into the population list, obviously North Italians are 83%, South Italians 6%, and then we have North Germans at 3%. If we go, maybe in the pie chart might be a little better now. So anyway, so yeah, there's the North Italians at 83%. There's the South Italians, the North Germans. Next is the Occitanes, I'm not sure how to pronounce that, so sorry about that, at 2.29%, followed by Swedish at 2%, Polish at 1.6%. We do have English at 0.36%, Afro-Antillean at 0.35%, and there's Welsh and other groups in here as well. Obviously, Catholic is the most dominant religion, followed by Protestant at 20. So Catholic is at 70, basically 78%, Protestant at 20%, and Orthodox at 1%. Laborers, of course, is the highest, followed by machinists and engineers professions. Laborers, because we do have quite a lot of farmland in us. I'll go through the buildings in a second here as well. Sorry. And the clout, the petite bourgeoisie, trade unions, and intelligentsia are almost quite head to head here. The petite bourgeoisie at 13.7 and trade unions at 13.6. Basically, in 1 and 2, I'm pretty sure they would interchange themselves, and intelligentsia following closely in third at 12%. Again, the list here follows this. The laborers are the highest at 5.4, machinists at 2.5, and engineers and so on, as basically as this chart shows here. So the information here, the urbanization of Sardinia Piedmont is 20,000. Arable land is 45 out of 140. So we didn't do the full arable land because mainly there's still a bunch of wheat farms I could build, cotton farms, and livestock ranches. But I have mainly focused on Piedmont here, having a lot of hard industry. Even though we did max out the iron, lead, and coal mines, including logging camps and fishing camps as well, it wasn't very much of a cap anyways. The modifiers, I'm not going to go through all these modifiers here. You can kind of take a look here. It's a very, very long list with some bonuses and some malices as well. But other than that, like I said, I'm not going to go through this whole list in here. And of course, the buildings that we have here, like I said, the urban buildings, that's what I mainly focused on in Piedmont, which has a ton of urban buildings. We have a glass factory that is at 90, plus we're building another 10, so it'll be 100, level 100 glass works, which is the #1 glass works production in the world. Can we see here who is? Thought it would show it here. Maybe not. Maybe if I go here. Oh yeah, I am the #1 producer worldwide in glass by a wide margin. I think we have the most glass production combined by everyone in the world. So anyways, like I said, I mainly focused on the urban buildings in here. Of course, we do have all our resources maxed out. Agriculture, not that much, but I could still go on to making more wheat farms to get our always shortages of wine in our empire. One thing I am not 100% sure, and I don't know how, but the skyscraper. So we have just a size 1 skyscraper, and I am not too sure. I've been trying to find out how can I upgrade my skyscrapers, but I don't know actually how it's done, because there's obviously here where is it? So there's per level values. So it would get 1% throughput per level, and the cap, it is capped at 51. Excuse me, let me just take a quick sip. But I don't know how to get it. So even if I go here to build more skyscrapers, it just says I cannot build anything. There's 38 unavailable states to build the skyscraper in. Again, I'm not very sure how to get more skyscrapers, even in any of my other uh, provinces, but that is neither here and there at the moment. I'm pretty sure I will figure that out at some point. So my next biggest state is Lombardy here, at which contributes 12% of our GDP and has 9 million population. Again, of course, North Italian and Occitane are the highest. North Italians at 73%, which kind of surprised there's not a lot of South Italians. They didn't make it up to Lombardy here. And then French followed second. Again, the religious denominations are basically the same as in Piedmont. Also, the professions and the clout is basically the same throughout Lombardy as well. Of course, the attraction here is a 3.6 and 4.9 in these two states. I think this is mainly has to do with the overpopulation factor in here, and in both of these. Actually, this does not have an overpopulation, but anyways, it's just there's not as many possibilities in here, especially because we do have quite a high unemployment, which I'm pretty sure they have. Yep, there's quite a lot of unemployment here. I'm wondering if I could find out. No, yeah, it doesn't say where the unemployment is at. So I would like, it would be nice if it was if we hovered over this tooltip here and then it would say, okay, there's 334k unemployment, but then tell me, are they laborers, are they machinists, are they engineers, what kind of unemployment is this, so that I could maybe make more shops, whether it's shopkeepers, if it's clerks, servicemen, academics, farmers, just kind of like to have a little bit of a breakdown. If I could go here and an unemployment, just tell me this is how many of this profession are unemployed, or this I guess this group of professions being unemployed, so that I could possibly build more of those buildings. So then Venezia is the next state here. We have 8.2 million. Again, same religious denominations, professions, and clout as well. Just a slightly different range here. The trade unions are top intelligentsia and deep bourgeoisie. Information here as well. Again, I'm not going to go through every single modifier and every single thing, but you can kind of take it out, maybe pause the video, take a look at it. Again, a lot of the stuff in the north here, because that is what I had for most of the game. The south might be a little slightly less behind, but I have focused on more of the urban buildings, as you can see here in Venice and in, oh, come on. There we go. Zooming in too much. And in Lombardy, Emilia, not as much. It is not a higher state, but let's just go by population. Campania, sorry, is the next state, which is the most southern state that has the biggest urbanization of all. So the overview here, it's 8% of the GDP contribution at 6.7 million. Everyone in the state is secure. Actually, we have quite a good, of course, standard of living all over Italy. I guess the outliers are South Tyrol and Calabria here. Sicily is catching up slowly. Infrastructure and taxation capacity is all looking good in here. There's some resources here that we could take advantage of, maybe some more fishing wharves. Again, there is a lot of unemployment all over the place here. That's why when we went in here, we do have 5.3 million unemployed. So we did look at the population here, of course, because we are now south of the line. We do have South Italian as number one here at 89%, and North Italians. Religions here actually switched. The Sunnis are the number 2 most prevalent religion, but only at 5%. Again, the clout and the professions are all the same. Again, it is what is the need in our empire, but mainly in the game. I think any empire that you do have, the way I built Italy here to kind of be the number 1 in GDP wise, would have laborers number 1, machinists number 2, and engineers number 3, and probably the same amount petite bourgeoisie, trade unions, and intelligentsia at 1, 2, and 3 in here. So going on to Tuscany at 5.6 million population. Again, quite a lot of unemployment, but it is what it is. There's actually quite a lot of Romanians in Tuscany here. Again, and quite a lot of Orthodox. Well, mainly because the Romanians, they do have quite a lot of Orthodox people. But actually, clerks. There is clerks here as number 3 instead of what was Campania here? Sorry, engineers. That's right. Again, the same denominations of the clouds. Information here we have. I think iron mines are everywhere maxed out because we do have a shortage of them, and anywhere there was coal mines, there was no coal mines here in Tuscany, unfortunately. They also contribute 8% of the GDP. With everything, both infrastructure and the taxation is all fully has quite a lot of room of movement, but just because we are spending a lot of bureaucracy on our education, our colonial affairs, and our incorporated states, we do suffer a lot of bureaucracy, which now that I look at this, we could probably lower our colonial affairs because there's nothing much to colonize anyways. So Istria, the overview here, population drops quite a bit to 3.7 million from Tuscany here, and they contribute 3% of the GDP. Again, all of this here is pretty much the same, so they would all have 100% access into the market, the infrastructure, and taxation. They do have a static trait here, Terra Rossa, which has plus 15% agriculture throughput. So the population here, again, quite a lot of unemployment. Again, paradox. It would be nice if we would see the breakdown of all the professions that are unemployed. That would definitely be very nice. Again, these 3 here sections are almost, at least these 2 are almost identical in all the states as that we're going through. Building here, it's decently urbanized as well. So moving on to Lazio at 3.2 million. I was actually thinking at one point, because this is Lazio, it's Rome, should I move my capital here? But you know what, I started with Piedmont, so I just kept that as my capital state. I don't think that's much of a big deal anyways. So building here, it's quite a lot urbanized here. Ooh, excuse me. The population, I could possibly run here to have people move into these states a little more, but why? As I do have quite a lot of unemployment, so I would want to employ these people first to also get down our subsidies payments, because all the unemployed people will be paid subsidies as well. So Romagna is the next state at 3 million. The information here, again, it's all here. I'm not gonna go through all of these things here. Overview, they contribute 3% of the GDP to us. So all of these states in Italy, so South Tyrol, which is our one of our lower, the standard of living here is a middling, unfortunately. But and they also basically less than a percent contribution in the GDP, mainly because this population here is on the lower side. It's less than a million. I can't really build enough here. I can, again, do have quite a few unemployed for their state and still a decent amount of peasants. So I could definitely build up some more urban buildings, which I kind of am. I am giving them 5 steel mills and some 5 furniture factories, or level 5 steel mill and level 5 furniture factory, to hopefully curb some of the unemployment and some of the peasants to move them into more urban buildings. Again, there's still a lot of movement here. The arable land is basically almost all taken up because there is not that much as is. Again, this is the peasants here in the subsistence farms, and I am also incorporating celebs here, but it will take another 7 years to incorporate. Just take quite a lot out here, but we do have South Island here. They're fully incorporated. They have 800,000 population here, 56 unemployed. It's not that bad. North Italians actually overtook the Maori in the #1 culture available, and followed with South Italians at 19%. Here it's slightly different profession layout because there's laborers and farmers here, mainly because I ended up choosing to max out their wheat farms here to get some wine being produced outside of Italy as well, here in South Island of New Zealand, or I guess I called it a New Sicily. So it is it is a good state. I have also done some paper mills here to kind of urbanize it slightly, but again, the population is a little low, and I wanted them to more concentrate on the wheat farms, and they also have gold mines and the one gold field with a couple of whaling stations as well. So if I go into the government screen here, actually I wanted to go into where do I go? Oh yeah, no, sorry, into the population screen of all of Italy. So this will give a breakdown of the whole empire here. So we have lower strata, which are at secure. There is still 2.5% of them at 1.7 million that have a standard of living below what their minimum expected is, and 11.5% of them are getting welfare payments. They are paying a premium for clothing, another thing we've been struggling most of the game to keep the price down. Groceries, so-so, and of course wine at the #4 spot. Our middle strata, they have 1.3 million of them, which is about 8% of them, are below their standard of living, and 1.5 million, about 9%, are receiving welfare payments. Their things that they pay for mainly is porcelain, which in the last, probably I would say 15 years or so, since we turned into the 1900s, they've been wanting more porcelain. And of course wine and luxury clothing followed by those two. And what I've noticed here, the upper strata, so there's 215,000 of them, about 10%, that do have a standard of living below their minimum. And even the funnier thing is that 173% or 8.5% of our upper strata do get welfare payments. Kind of ironic, but unfortunately I think that happens kind of everywhere if you know how to take care and go through the loopholes. Other than that, Fine arts they pay quite a lot for, and porcelain as well, followed by luxury clothing, which is not that much, but wine is the biggest outlier here for all of them, is that they do pay 75% of the expected price of it. So here the professions, we can kind of go into a little better breakdown. Of course, laborers, machinists, and engineers are 1, 2, and 3, as we've seen in most of the states, followed by clerks. So that's why engineers and clerks sometimes are interchangeable, because they're at about almost the same population level. Peasants, of course, we are main thing, we're trying to get the peasants down as low as possible. At 6.3%, that's, I think it's a decent number indeed. Farmers here, probably it would be nice if you could replace these farmers, so making these peasants all into farmers, so that we have about 10% farmers and no peasants, but it did not work out that way. Shopkeepers, servicemen are next, with bureaucrats followed up at 2%, and then getting academics, capitalists, clergymen, officers, and aristocrats all the way at the bottom at only 0.6%, because I think we have kind of gone away from the aristocrats to be running stuff to more being the capitalists. I don't know if we have, there's unfortunately not a graph to give us, yeah, there's no graph to give us how quickly they were growing, but yeah, the capitalists did come up here. And of course the political strength kind of matches up almost to these, not quite, as political strength does have to do with what kind of political laws you have, and who can vote and who can't vote, and so on. Of course the peasants have the least, because they don't really vote as much. That's why the capitalists here are near the top, as we do have them having a higher percentage to be in government with our laws. So mainly, if I go into government, the main thing that we do have here is, I think, the interventionism, if I'm not, yeah, you see, plus 25% capitalism. If I go laissez-faire, it would even be more capitalism, which I probably would have gone into. Command economy does give you more of authority. This is more of a, if you're trying to go into socialist or communist government. Agrarianism, we're not really dealing with that, but that's what heightens the aristocrats even further. So that's basically the main thing here. And of course the cultures here, the breakdown of cultures is excuse me, the North and South Italian, of course we are Italy after all, so they are number 1 and 2, followed by French, Missouri here. I think they are mainly in Africa, if I am not mistaken. Oh yeah, no, sorry, yeah, in Africa. So they're in in Lower Egypt. That is their main hub here, and we do have quite a lot of them. There's 3.28 million of them, and just kind of like going down and breaking down into very, very small, finite pieces of population here, and it almost does, the political strength is very much almost a through line here, except Missouri here are not political, they don't have much political strength, as this state is not incorporated. If I were to incorporate Lower Egypt, they would definitely have a much higher political strength, but I don't really care much about incorporating them, so that's why I left it unincorporated, as they do have stuff that I want, like their main thing here is opium production. We do have the opium and the sugar actually also wheat farms, fully fully upgraded. So there's no more. I think their arable land is fully used, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, there's 0 out of 120 left of arable land. So they are fully done. And of course, religious denominations. Again, Catholics, obviously 80%. Protestants, Sunni are the next two. And again, I think Orthodox have quite a bit more political strength as they do populate more of the higher populated states with more urbanization, which gives them more political strength. Here up top, of course, you see the full population, that the whole standard of living, including politically involved and politically inactive. This is a pretty good number. I do definitely like this. Here's the detailed population of our mainly with laborers, machinists, and engineers in 1, 2, and 3 with their respective populations. Again, we could expand this and kind of go through every single little group of people. But again, we will be sitting here for hours on end going through that. Our market, as has always been, we've kind of been going through all of these numbers the whole campaign, so no need to go through this. Military, not really either. Diplomacy, technology, all the production technology has been researched, actually except flash freezing. Military, almost all of it has been. We are working on mobile armory, and then modern battlefield tactics is the only thing remaining. Society research also has been fully completed. So that's about it. The culture here, we do have a cultural exclusion and total separation of state and church. Nation forming, there's nothing in here. We can go here and see where there's a lot of turmoil. There's not too much. There's some places that do have some turmoil, but it's not that big of a deal. Journal, we could have done a bunch of these journal entries here. Again, it would have probably been quite easy to do. The outliner here, just if you want to do this stuff here. And that's about it, I think. I hope I kind of touched on everything here. I hope people are happy with this overview here. I tried to touch on anything. If I missed anything, let me know. Like I said, I am thinking of doing another run in Victoria 3. For some reason, I kind of like going with Korea here, and I think that's what we will do. So thanks a lot for coming and watching this very last episode, and I will catch you next time. Bye bye.